Look at all the friends.
Yeah, they said, hold on, Project Podcast.
Right.
Not the Project Podcast.
Grand Rising and Wholeness family. Welcome to Homeschool Approach to Holistic Health. I'm your nutrition assistant, Coach Scott, here out in nature. I have brought some wonderful guests with me today. Mr. Peter J. of the Millionaire Project. We're representing that paraphernalia today, you know. Yeah.
You know how I go.
If you ain't got yours, you better get it.
Man.
We got Sierra Marie. If you ain't seen her on TikTok, what are you waiting for?
Nah, they seen on TikTok. They seen on TikTok. Trust me.
We got Mr. Coach Scott in the place to be, you know, our abundance counselor.
Need the taxes done. Yes, man.
Any kind of financial advice necessary. We got 2 financial advisors up in this piece today. And of course, yours truly, Coach Scott, your nutrition assistant. A lot of questions has been asked
A lot of questions.
to each one of us when it comes to a healthy transition, a new lifestyle, and we want to answer those questions for you today. So if you have a question, leave it down below. We'd love to answer it. So we're going to start off with the first question. Why did you go vegan? You know, some people say plant-based, other people say, you know, healthy lifestyle change. However you word it, why do you only eat plants? So anyone want to answer that question?
Okay, go ahead. Now you go ahead.
Most natural. It's the most natural.
Most natural. So speak out real loud, because I think our camera may be a little further back than normal.
Yeah,
But
do mics. Next episode, we have mics.
yeah, well, no mics today, so loud,
Right.
so that the sun can hear you. We're at the sunset right now, guys. We got that sunset going on. Anybody else? Why did you go plant-based?
Zero?
I
I was the last one to go plant-based, so I think I should be the last one to say why I went plant-based.
I went plant-based because I had more energy. As a result, my mental was a lot clearer. Yeah, it's pretty much
Yeah, and she said that in another episode as well, so make sure you visit our archives. Make sure you speak out loud. Okay, PJ, you're last.
The reason why I went plant-based was because everyone else in the family went plant-based. So I figured, you know, why not give it a shot unless I'll continue to be the ugly duckling of the group. So I was in college and I was eating everything everybody else eats in college, pizza and wings. And so when I actually moved out to Florida, got my, you know, grown man job, I told my mother I would, you know, try the vegan route, try the vegetarian route to start out, and that's what got me to become plant-based.
Yeah, and speaking of ugly duckling, I'm telling you, when it comes to eating plant-based, things will change on you that you never dreamed of. I'm telling you, I could go really in depth about how wonderful eating plant-based is, but we're not going to go there because that wasn't one of the questions. Anywho, any other questions that you guys got? Like, what was one of the questions that just stood out about? It's like, well, that's a weird question, but it actually, now hindsight 2020 is a weird question, but it may have been a question we would have had too before we went plant-based. But anything, anybody got any?
How do you get your protein?
How do you get your protein? Or and then it became B12 as well. Anybody want to take that one? How did you get your protein?
Well, dark green vegetables have a high concentration of protein, plant protein. So that is the protein that animals eat that you claim you're getting from animals. So why not just cut out the middleman and get it directly from the plant?
Right. And I'm definitely a Sabian, so Sabi didn't really agree with the word protein, quote unquote. He said if there's a unicorn, well, it wasn't his exact words, but paraphrasing, if you have a unicorn and someone told you that they saw it, just because the word unicorn exists doesn't mean that you actually see a unicorn. So is there really a such thing as protein? Now I love, shout out to Yaki Awaken, he's very good with breaking down the science, and the science of protein is building muscle. So what builds muscle? Nuts build muscle. You know, like Coach Scott said, dark green leafy vegetables, specifically ocean, you know, things that come from the sea are going to give you protein. So, you know, there's all kind of ways to get your protein. And the next one is usually B12. That's also how you get your B12. Dark you know,
Sea
vegetables. You're gonna get B12. But even your berries. Shout out to Yaki. I could keep shouting him out all the whole video. However, berries have that B12 in it. Anyone else? Where do you get your protein? Same places?
Yeah.
Right.
Chickpeas, quinoa.
Yeah.
I'm a big hemp seed, so
Yeah.
your nuts and grains, and then your deep, dark leafy greens. So
Yeah. So look at your biggest animals on the planet. They're
What do
getting
they
their
eat?
proteins
Yeah.
from somewhere, and all they're
Elephants,
eating are
gorillas,
those
right.
vegetables. So
Greens,
Fruits and vegetables.
yeah. So Sierra, you was gonna ask a question. What were you gonna ask?
I was actually ready the protein, but
She has a list of questions just in case. We were gonna go live, however, Peter J said you may want to wait on live. So
Wait till we got the mics.
says, why is vegan food so expensive?
why is vegan food so expensive? Anybody?
I'll take that one.
Take it.
Well, it's actually a myth, believe it or not, because the most expensive thing in the grocery store is your steaks, your chicken legs, your, anything that's high. Well, I hope you're not eating the $3 bologna. So if we're doing this argument, I'm hoping that you're talking about, these high grade meats that people eat. So your steaks.
Well,
your
be
chicken.
gentle, because when I was eating meat, all I was eating was bologna.
Okay, all right. Well, this is not for the bologna eaters. Right? That's a whole nother subject. We're gonna talk to you guys on later on. We talking to the people who eat your steaks, your chicken. So those are actually the more expensive meals. So if I was to go to the grocery store and get a week's worth of food, I feel like my food would actually be lower than someone who eats more processed food and more. The bag of chips is $6-7 now. Your cereals are $6-7 now. Eggs $10 now. So it's like it's not really more expensive. It's just a matter of a lot of people think that a salad won't fill you up, but in reality, a salad will fill you up. You just gotta make more of it. So
Shout out to Recipe Guide.
yeah, shout out to the recipe guys.
6-layer salad.
Yeah, if you,
Authentic Soul Food Kitchen Digital Recipe Guide. If you click that link. So yeah, I definitely think expense is a perception. It's all your perspective. How do you view? Because yes, you can find some $20 Brazil nuts at let's say, where were we going? At one time it was Lucky's has it for like $6.99. So, but we found that out later. So when you first get started, your journey, you may be paying a little more because you haven't figured out where to get the cheaper things. That's like anything in life. Once you learn something, then you have to, continue growing in that area. So
I got one more thing too.
Okay, go ahead.
I think if you think about the price now on the front end, it's actually going to be way cheaper than your hospital bill.
Oh, tell the truth.
When you're 60, 70 years old.
And people say that.
High pack
Medicines,
cholesterol
pharmacy.
food.
Oh, yeah.
And so you definitely want to equate
It's an
that.
investment too. Yeah.
You want to equate that every food that you eat is actually equivalent to an ailment. So is that worth that back end, like Peter J was saying? You want to be very mindful of that. And we're not going to talk about which ailments they are, because for everybody it's different. Some people can handle more of things they quote unquote shouldn't have than others. For instance, I'm almost completely raw, and I feel better that way, but I still have my cheat days and I feel like crap. So you have to be real with yourself. What is that doing after I continue to feel like crap over a period of time? What chronic ailment is that going to be for me? It has nothing to do with you. It's for me. And then what does that look like for someone else? So, just...
And FYI, her cheat is chickpeas. Okay, we're not
Pineapple.
right.
Pineapple. We're not talking
For
about.
those that take the word cheat and run with their mind, let's bring it back to
shout out
yeah.
to Yaki
Yeah, let's
talking
bring
about
it back.
them beans, because they ain't always good for everybody. So, anywho, what else we got? Sarah, you want to elaborate on that, or you got another question for us?
I think also when it comes to how expensive vegan food is, I think sometimes people need to realize that more on the plant-based, like if you actually look at your produce and all that, that's going to cost a lot less than these, impossible meats and on all these soy cheeses and
You might as well eat the burger.
so it's not the same the healthier you are, and when it comes to picking out your vegan food, because you can get junk food that's vegan.
Yeah, this is
Plenty
true.
of
And
vegan,
so
yeah.
the closer you get to more plant-based, natural, the cheaper it is. So
And that kind of answers somebody else's question about what's the difference between plant-based and vegan.
Right.
Like you can
Okay.
eat, you can still eat
Vegan
processed
could be,
food, it
yeah.
be junk food vegan.
Yeah.
But plant-based is 90%, 95% plants, and then you
Right.
make cheat here and there where so it's more.
Right, and so to piggyback off of that, plant-based is eating plants, but some of the impossible meats and even soy, that is a spliced plant. So you're still getting into process. Anything that has to be preserved in a box, or I mean, even this is processed. I mean, the best place to go is straight to the source, the spring, and all that good stuff. Until you get there, of course, check out my latest video. We do some pH testing on the water. So again, there's all kind of things that you need to be mindful of. Don't get caught up in, have compassion with yourself. If you do better today than you did yesterday. That's our motto.
Don't go cold turkey. Work your way into
Some
it,
people
no matter
can go
what.
cold turkey.
Some people can, yeah.
And
Some
some
people-
people
some people
can't.
can.
So, next question. Wholeness. Y'all hear the birds in the background? I just had to do this outside, He got a question. What's your question? Maybe not.
do you ever get tired of eating the same thing?
Do you ever get tired of eating the same thing? I have to answer this one first. What is so hilarious about that question is I was tired of eating the same thing when I was eating meat. It's like every day I was preparing food for the family. Steak on Monday, chicken on Tuesday, fish on Wednesday, meatloaf on Thursday, whatever, trying to change it up. And it just became so routine. Once I began to eat plant-based, I literally started finding grains I never had. We had never eaten, I brought home avocado. My kids looked at me like, what do you want me to do with that? So now we love avocados. Fresh Thai coconut had never been opened in our house. Papayas, oh my gosh, my new favorite, especially in autumn. I've had it like in a fruit cocktail or something, but never by itself, just spooning it out. Oh my gosh, there are so many fruits that I adore now that I didn't even take into consideration until I went plant-based.
Didn't even know about.
Didn't even know about. So
I
anybody
can
else?
piggyback off it.
Go ahead.
So I got friends now who I'll mess with because I can guess what they eating every single time I'm on the phone with them. So I'm like, y'all, you eating chicken and potatoes again, ain't you? He's like, man, I got chicken sandwich and fried. Like, are you eating chicken and potatoes, ain't you? Yeah, I got wings and mashed potatoes. Like, so it's always the same thing. So it's funny that people say, you don't get tired of eating the same things when in reality we only eat 3 meals when you're still eating meat. You only eating 3 meals. You eat chicken, quesadilla, chicken sandwich, chicken legs, chicken fingers. Like it's the same meal, just they cut it up in different places and give it to you.
It's so
Or
true.
different prices.
That's a good point.
So true.
But yeah.
You got an elaboration or you got another question?
Let's see.
And if you guys come up with any other questions that you can remember back in the day that people asked, because I'm going on 8 years. PJ's going on, he was the last, so he's going on
3.5.
only 3.5? Okay,
August.
so after college.
Since he moved here.
Wow. So that's why we're trying to give you 4 different perspectives. And for Mr. Coach Scott, it's been 7.5, Sierra 6. So you have, is that right?
I think 7 now.
I feel like I'm more of like a 5.5.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Let's call going on 6. So we got
Oh, yeah.
4 different
6.
perceptions,
We could be 6.
perspectives coming at you. So if you ask those questions, be sure to be specific of who you want to answer the question, because I'm a little further along.
Yeah.
So again, that's why I'm kind of almost raw. You got that question, C?
What's the hardest part about being vegan?
The hardest part about being vegan, I love the
Going
fact
out
that
to
the
eat.
sun's right here and the moon is right behind us. I hope you guys can see it.
I got
The
one.
hardest being vegan, you got one?
Yeah, I got one for that. Would be discipline. And I say discipline in the fact of, even though you're eating plants, there's still a better time of the day to eat them. You know, I feel like, well, when I first started, I felt like I could eat at midnight, but the body's still.
He's right there. Did y'all see him? He said he's got a question. Are you amening what he's saying?
He feels me. He feels me.
You don't eat
He asking if we got food now.
Right.
I got food and I just sitting here.
I'm vegan
So-
too.
No, but I mean, so discipline, I guess for me, like she said, everyone's different. But for me, learning the best times of the day to eat also is part of the plant-based journey, you know, for me. So it's better to eat, you know, before 8, so your body can start to, you know, process. Yeah, before 8. Yeah. So, but anyway, that's one thing for me, discipline, when it comes to what time of the day to eat for me.
Right. The hardest thing for me, especially when it comes to my family, is that when I learn something, being the front runner, I get so excited that I just want to throw up on my family and force them to do the same thing. And hindsight, what I'm learning is it's not fair to them, because my body, my biochemistry is different. So it's not necessarily something that may be as beneficial to them as it is for me. For instance, I even went on that 42-day fast where I had nothing but coconut water and grape juice. What I learned is that coconut water really gives me a lot of hydration. Detoxifying the body really came with the grape juice. And so I think that now I'm very into trying to get them to drink the juice, which is the H3O2, trying to express how much I think is the best for them. However, adding water to it and adding other juices, different things, may still prove to be beneficial depending on what ailments, or what, not ailments, but what expansions they're trying to do. Like, for instance, PJ likes working out, so coconut water may be really good for him, and the grape juice may be really good for detoxifying, but because specific to his day, it may not be that he wants to do both. So if that makes sense, I just can't learn something and then try to force it on them. That's what's been the most difficult for me, because if I found something that works for me, I feel like as a nutritionist of the family, I want to make sure that they're getting whatever it is that I got. But my biochemistry is different. My makeup is just different. So that's been the most difficult, the most challenging for me. Anybody else?
I think the most challenging for me is going out to eat, maybe with friends and family. It's not that it's hard to not eat the foods they eat, it's just hard to, order something on the menu that you would eat without. If you weren't in the situation, would you eat it? Or are you just eating it because it's the only thing you could possibly
Right. And a solution I do for that, I love when we go to the more expensive restaurants, because the chefs are willing to try to
They'll make it
create.
for
They
you.
love it.
Yeah,
But
more
I
expensive
also put an
restaurant,
avocado
they'll
in
create.
my purse, and I've been known to pull that bad boy out and put it on top of a salad that was in a restaurant.
Yeah.
I am her.
Order a
challenge?
salad, scrape off the salad, use the
Man,
plate.
tell the truth. Tell the
Open
truth.
avocado.
Tell the truth. Any challenges for you, Sierra, or you want to go on to the next question?
I feel like that was probably the same
Yours
thing with
too.
mine.
Yeah, and family eating is love. That's family. So it is a little more challenging when you go out with family, because you want to be a part. However, when they're going out to these places where they're cooking all this steak and shout out to Yaki. One of the things he said is even smelling cooked flesh can cause brain issues. I'm gonna try to stay away from certain words, but it's not necessarily could assimilate with your body. It's not conducive to the way you live. So if you've been cutting a lot of that stuff out, it becomes a challenge. Now, it's not every day. We're not back there cooking the food all the time as a chef. However, just being mindful that even going into these places who have this kind of energy, it's questionable. So, next question.
Some things that make your food more delicious, like vegan food. Like a lot of people want to learn.
The Authentic Soul Food Kitchen Digital Recipe Guide.
Shout out. Shout out.
That's the only place
That was
I go
a
to.
setup.
That's it.
That was a setup.
Alley-oop.
Yeah. So like,
Herbs, seasonings.
yeah. So a lot of people always ask, well, how do you cook food, to make it, nutritious? Because they'll say things like it's nasty. I don't like healthy food. However, if you like grandmama's food, all you do is you just take the same ingredients. Just switch out the ingredients in grandma's cabinet or the refrigerator, preferably, because we want things that are more fresh, and start creating your own. You become the alchemist in the kitchen. Don't get caught up in doing it exactly like grandma, because at the same time, definitely do it like grandma, because grandma can cook. Yeah, hands down, she know what she's doing. However, there are more beneficial ingredients to add to grandma's recipes, and they will come out just as delicious. So, and if you have trouble, just Authentic Soul Food Kitchen Digital Recipe Guide.
That's it.
That's
Don't even
it.
gotta think. Just click the button in the link.
It's all right there.
Just click the button in the link.
What advice would you give someone transitioning into a more plant-based lifestyle?
Advice would I give to a person transitioning into a more plant-based lifestyle?
I got one.
Okay.
How can I say this? One thing, I'll do it this way. I'll speak about me, then you can kind of take it and use it how you would. One thing I had to do was relearn what food really is.
Ooh.
Once I did that,
Wendy.
a lot of things were a lot easier to give up.
Sun's still up, Pete.
I remember telling Sierra, because she used to have challenges when she first started going to school, and I would make her lunches, but then she would see everybody else with their food,
Right.
and I would say, Sierra, think about when you see their food come out of the box, think about the fact that they're still eating the box. Remember I said that? But before long, the good news is Sierra came home. The Sierra actually came home before long and said, Mom, you got to make more food. And I'm like, why? She said, because all my friends are eating all my food and I'm tired of sharing. You remember that?
I do. I don't play about my food.
I was like, I'm not making more
2
food.
lunch boxes, one for everybody else.
Right.
Right. And she was dead. She was so serious. She was like, Mom, I really need you to make more because I'm tired of sharing.
She was like, Sierra, say no.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Hardest part for me is sharing food. I'm joking. I would say, hardest thing for me,
Well, the question was
Transition.
transition, yeah.
okay.
Advice.
So advice. Okay, so no, okay. I think some advice would be, I don't know, I think when we talked about cold turkey and like gradual, I know people are different, but for me, it was really good with, I was really good with the gradual method, because technically I did do cold turkey when we did the Savvy diet. So, that in itself, like after probably 2 or 3 days, I actually like felt a little bit better afterwards. But I think the gradual, the reason why that helps is because it's like sometimes when you have a routine of, or let's say like a restriction. So like if you feel like you're just restricted all the time, it's harder because you are thinking of the lack, like you're lacking, you're
What you
missing
can't have, what
something.
you can't have.
But when you're doing gradual, you're realizing, I can go without this.
So true.
I can go without this, and then sooner enough you realize you can go without everything.
You forgot to eat it.
Yeah.
This was your day to eat meat, and you forgot to eat meat.
Exactly.
Right. And this is our athlete of the we're all athletes, but this is our D1 athlete. I always got to give her, her accolades for that. And so when it comes to that knowledge of conditioning, you want to condition your body. Would you just stand up and just run a marathon, a triathlon? You're going to condition for that. So if you think about going cold turkey, yes, some people can do it. However, is it more beneficial for you to train for going on this? Because I believe in breatharians. One that I follow, shout out to Elotom. He actually is a breatharian. He does not eat. That is a beautiful thing to me. Is that possible? Yes. And I love when people say that's not possible, who've never done it, and expect us to listen to them. What about the people who've done it and they're telling you they've done it? And I've been on my 42-day fast, and I'm a witness to that's possible. Now, am I conditioned to do that right now? I don't think so, but my eyes are open to it. So I definitely agree with Sierra when it comes to the conditioning and the training yourself for this lifestyle, as opposed to, cookie cutter, doing it the way everybody else says that you should do it.
Because as much as it is physical, it's definitely a mental practice as well. Because it can actually bleed into other aspects of your life. Like if you are trying new things or trying to be more disciplined in certain areas, when you have a strong, because food in itself is pretty much can be an addiction. As much as people want to say, certain, drugs and certain things are addictions, food in itself is addiction. And the ingredients in it, like sugar and sodium and certain things like that. So if you can wean yourself off of the, some food that you used to have in your childhood, and you just, I can't live without it.
I'm sorry.
If you're able to overcome that, you can overcome anything.
That's right. That's right. And so chemicals, basically when it comes to the chemicals that it's an addiction. So recognize the chemicals that are inside of these, when you're reading, like Coach Scott said, if you look at the ingredients, is it food? Is that food? That's a genuine question. Is that food?
That can be a tip. Read the ingredients.
Read
the ingredients, and
That'll
then you'll be
scare
like, whoa, I can't even pronounce that one.
Right. And true ingredients they don't have a box. So make sure that you pay attention to that. We're closed.
Yeah.
Okay, one more question. They're
You want
closed.
to let Pete say that real quick? Advice, or you?
No, I'm good.
Okay, let's
Okay.
do one more question, because the park is closed.
Wow, we've been here that long.
All right. What do you eat on a typical day?
Final question. What do you eat on a typical day? Let's just everybody give one thing that they eat on a typical day.
Fruit.
Water.
Oh.
H3O2.
Salads and smoothies.
I eat a lot of chickpeas.
Uh-oh, we got to work on Peter
foods,
J.
like you
Chickpeas
have
for me
chickpea
too.
pasta, or like just
Right.
certain pastas that aren't as like wheat and stuff. Like it's more of a natural, a savvy approach.
Okay. All right. And that is our first podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Love ya. Wholeness.
Okay, fine.
Mwah.